Hey there. This is the second in a series of videos I plan on making featuring the OP-1, and this is also my first January 2018 track, so that's kind of exciting as well to be doing another Jamuary. I got a couple videos out last January. Jamuary, if you're not familiar, is an idea that I think this guy Cuckoo, who's got a great YouTube channel, a lot of OP-1 videos, a lot of other cool music gear, came up with, and I think it's a cool idea where you just try to pump out as many videos of you making stuff as you can during musical stuff, I think primarily during January. So on this video I wanted to work with a little sampling. And in the interest of both not getting flagged by YouTube copyright and not spending a ton of time, looking for sampling, what I did was I recorded a bit of a tune from an album called White Gold. That's Barry White's band doing some funky 70s stuff. And I recorded a couple of... I recorded the beginning of one song thinking that I could really make a couple of kind of sample captures out of it. One is these strings that I'm playing here, just kind of this cool, very 70s sweeping string intro to the song, and I don't even remember what the song is called, to be honest with you. I could find out. And then once the beat kicks in, I do that next. I've got that on the tape here next. So, again, like working with the, limitations of the OP-1, like, I was thinking, how can I do this, on camera and everything? I didn't want to try to get my phone in the shot, and so I just recorded, the beginning of the track onto the tape directly as just a track on the tape, with the idea that I would just use that to sample a couple of kits off of and then erase it, and I'd have the samples all saved as kits. So that's what I did here. This is a trick. I'm going to do a video, I think, a tutorial on that really goes into depth on slicing up beats on the OP-1. But this is a trick that I use to see if to find the tempo of a beat rather than trying to tap it out. I let the OP-1 slice up the beat into 16 samples on the first 16 keys, and then I do an endless sequencer run of those 16 notes, and then I put that on hold, and I just try to find the tempo where that sounds pretty natural, where there's not gaps between the notes and where they're not kind of overrunning each other. So I just finished that. I got the tempo here, the original tempo, and now I'm going to play around just trying to think of what I can do with these sweeping string sounds. Honestly, this is another one here where I came in with almost no real plan, other than I wanted to try to use a sample off of this album. And I don't own this album, and I don't pay for Spotify, so I got the Spotify free version, so I could just shuffle tracks off of the album on my phone, on the web. I could, on my desktop, but I didn't have my desktop. So in any case, this is kind of what came out. So here I'm going to sample the second part of this that I wanted to use, which is this funky beat here, real smooth. It's an interesting album. I think I don't know a whole lot about it, but I believe it's my old drummer sent me a link to it, said it was pretty cool, and he was right, and he usually is. And I think it's Barry White's band primarily featured on the album. I don't know if Barry's even on the album, but it's the band that was on all his albums and doing that style of music, but mostly instrumental, it seems. Pretty cool album. Real snapshot of a time. Music doesn't sound like this anymore. Right, so here I got the drums, kind of a groove. And then I'm doing the same thing here where I still had that 16 note endless sequencer pattern, and I just you know, try to make sure that I've got my tempo right. It sounds pretty good there, right? So that's the idea of it. And since I didn't, again, I'm going to do a video specifically on slicing beats on the OP-1. I didn't do this entirely perfectly, so it takes a little bit of tweaking. And I'm also just kind of trying to think, like, what are these sounds do I really want to use? And I'm also in the back of my mind thinking I don't want this video to go on for ever. It came out a little longer than I'd prefer. Anyway, working with samples, it's time consuming, for me at least. There's a lot of fiddling to fiddling to break out the sounds the way you want them, and then actually coming up with something that sounds halfway decent. From essentially a random pastiche of sound. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's a cool challenge, and oftentimes you get something unique sounding that you just wouldn't have come up with any other way. And I think it's something else that you get better at the more you do it. I'm no expert, to be sure, but it's time consuming. I think everybody, so this one guy on YouTube named Knock Squared, Knock squared, and he does some 7-minute challenges. There's the Fact Magazine does those 10-minute challenges, and those are cool. And Knock, he does, and he's all sample based, uses Machine a lot, and he can actually do this kind of stuff pretty damn fast. But even him, a lot of the time he's not that psyched about what he actually comes up with at the end of the day. It's more about just doing it, and sometimes you come up with something really great, I think. And here I'm like, kind of, I've got things split up in such a way that I can play them. Doesn't sound like the original, and I'm just messing around trying to see what I can do that sounds good. Like figuring out, the right spots. Honestly, the screen on the OP-1's nice and all, but for this kind of stuff, it's a little difficult, for me at least, to really see some of these spots in the waveform where I really need to break. It's better than nothing, certainly. Better than just doing it by ear. Be nice if you could adjust the scale of the waveform, blow it up. I don't think you can. So there, that's, I think this is what I roll with here, and, it's pretty cool. It doesn't really sound that much like the original track. But it's got a cool groove to it. Similar groove to the original track, but, not the same. That's a pretty cool sample, actually. So cinematic. I was thinking it might sound cool slowed down. Tempo-wise, you gotta then rematch it. OP-1 doesn't really do beat stretching. This is kind of like beat stretching that I'm doing here, where I've sliced it up and I'm changing, the tempo and whatever. It doesn't do this automatically. This is a pretty manual process on the OP-1. And I can't pitch correct it. So then I was thinking it would maybe sound cool to still throw some kind of a filter on this guy to just make it sound more, I don't know, interesting, different. And then I couldn't remember what, where I ended up tempo-wise with it. Here I'm just blocking everything with my arm, but you know, I'm trying to just playing with the filter settings, trying to find something that sounds cool. Still like a little fuzzy. I guess, you know, the blue and the red are high pass and low pass, not irrespectively. The white, I think, is the resonance of the filter. And the FF, the green, is some kind of auto enveloping or envelope following or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but there's some kind of a automatic tweaking of your frequencies that happens when you increase or decrease the green setting on that filter. So I recorded it with the metronome just to make sure that it was going to sound reasonably in time. I think that works. You know, at this point, that sample is, I'd say, unrecognizable from the original track. That's how I like to do samples, you know. I'm not really a fan of the obvious samples. Definitely prefer, you know, you can tell it's a sample, but you'd be hard-pressed to identify where it came from. Here, I just wanted to add some drums to it. Yeah, this is coming along nicely. So the OP-1, it really encourages me to play in these drum tracks live with no quantization, which on almost any other device I would not really consider doing. But to quantize on here, you know, I'd have to program it into the endless or something, and that's, I don't know, a little bit of a pain. And so, you know, it's kind of cool though. Like, this doesn't sound bad to me. I kind of like the natural feel that I end up with, you know. So again, like, there's a limitation of the OP-1 that actually, you know, I think becomes a compositional strength. I want to try to find something to do with these strings. Spoiler, I'm not psyched about where I ended up with these strings, but again, like, the video is already at, 14, 15 minutes here. Just feeling the clock ticking. Trying to decide if I should leave the autofocus on the camera, or if I should just set the focus on the keyboard and let my hands be blurry. So the CWO effect here on the OP-1 is the most interesting one. Most interesting sounding and looking, I would say, as well. It's developed by the same guy who did the pocket operator Tonic, actually. but it's also like really, you know, kind of distinctive and recognizable. So I don't know how I feel about it entirely. I got kind of a cool effect with it here. But I don't know, I wasn't, you know, that excited about where this particular part of the track ended up. Definitely doesn't sound like Barry White anymore, I'll tell you that much. And that was the goal. I did not want this to sound like the source material at all. You know, little track management. We talked about that in the previous video. I know I promised I'd do a specific video on that. You know, I want to do a series of kind of tutorials of the things that I feel like were less than obvious. Took me a while to figure out on this thing before I really started to feel like I had it together. I still am figuring stuff out, obviously. But, yeah, I'm gonna do a series here eventually, if I get the time. I'm not promising that, that's my plans. There's a difference. I'd like to, though. I think I will. Time is really the only thing of value in the universe. Think about that one. Yeah, I'm just doing my overdubs, getting all cleaned up and ready to record this strings track, crazy CWO strings track that I have in mind. Oh, I did record it. Okay, so Right, so here I'm making space. I want to add a bass line. That's what's going on. Just thinking about time in the universe there. I lost my train of thought. That's what happens. You look in the void looks back into you. Well, searching for a good bass sound. No idea what I'm gonna play or what I'm looking for. Hoping to be inspired by a tone. I can hear it in my head. Can I play it? I don't know. We'll find out. Stay tuned. I wanted to go lower, but this sound doesn't really sound good lower. I'm trying to remember what it was I wanted to do. Right. There's no F sharp in this line. No F sharp. You could play the F sharp. I think it sounds better with that. Alright, now can I record it is the question. The answer is it's going to be tough. Oh yeah, I left the overdub on. Take that off. Bounce. Hey. That's basically the idea. Wasn't so bad. Make some room on the tape. I'm thinking, you know, it's too thin sounding to be my bass line. I want a fat bass line here, so I'm going to try and double it. Just going to make myself some room. And then find some kind of a sub bass kind of a sound here. Oh, I screwed that up. Yeah, let's luckily we can go back because we're managing our tape right, and we're back. I forgot to switch into the track I wanted to record the overdub to. Not the overdub. I keep saying the overdub. Really, I'm bouncing tracks is really what I mean. So I forgot to switch to the track I wanted to bounce to that last time. But because of the way I'm doing it here, I was able to go back and not lose everything. Which when I first got the OP-1, I was losing everything every time I screwed up like that. And again, it was OP-1 German style. Who was kind enough to comment on my last video. I was a little starstruck actually by that, because I've been watching his videos for a while, so that was cool. Yeah, thanks to him and his technique for working with the tape. The days of, you know, completely screwing up your track because you hit the wrong button are largely gone. Alright, that sounds okay. We got it bounced finally correctly. Now let's find a bass sound, and I think we're just about done here. I want to fatten up that bass a little bit. Make sure we got a clean track. Let's pick a sound. Big bottom sounds good. Not really what I'm looking for. No. Well, it's got some... Oh, it's kind of subby. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of good too. Alright, let's go for it. Screwed up and forgot to turn the bounce off again. There we go. Yeah, well, you know, I don't love it. It's not bad. But I think we've taken up enough of your time, so I'll play it out a little bit here. I'm still not that good at this part. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. and have a great 2018. Happy New Year.